Good afternoon and welcome to this event this afternoon. The City of Ekurhuleni Water and Sanitation Services, an enabler for business success. The water that flows into our homes and into our industry is one of the strongest indicators of a city's determination to keep residents healthy and manufacturers operating in the best conditions. The City of Ekurhuleni believes that quality water and sanitation services are a critical enabler to business success. So this afternoon's discussion will focus broadly on the security of supply and aqualeep infrastructure projects, water quality and industrial effluent management, bulk meter consolidation, billing and revenue enhancement. And we are going to be hearing directly from the City of Ekurhuleni. We've got the MMC for Water, Sanitation and Energy, Councillor Tiisetso Nketle, and as well as the City of Ekurhuleni HOD for Water, Sanitation and Energy, Mr. Mduduzi Shabango. I am Nompumelelo Runji, and I am going to be your host, or hostess rather, this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to spending time with you. We also have key stakeholders, including representatives from business and the community that are the users of the city's services. And I will introduce these stakeholders during the course of the event. Before we get into our discussions for this afternoon, we are going to be flighting a video that is going to provide insight and information into what the City of Ekurhuleni Water and Sanitation and Energy Department has to offer its stakeholders.
A city to live, play and invest. The City of Ekurhuleni, a city focused on strengthening social cohesion with the pursuit of prosperity for all its residents. It is a city where you can live, play and invest. The city of the future. This futuristic city models the home to approximately 3.4 million people, with a renowned claim of being the manufacturing hub of South Africa. But there is much more to this developing city. As Africa's first aerotropolis, the city of Ekurhuleni is filled with over 238 lakes, dams, world-class casinos, entertainment centers, including premium lifestyle estates and world-class golf courses. The city is also home to OR Tambo International Airport, the busiest airport in Africa, serving the entire continent and linking to major cities across the globe. Many of the world's leading airlines fly into the airport. Supporting this is a network of roads, rail lines, telephone, electricity and telecommunication grids that rival first world countries. Infrastructure supporting well-established industrial, commercial and residential complexes.
Welcome to the City of Ekurhuleni, Africa's first aerotropolis city. The city has adopted the economic transformation trajectory underpinned by the 10-point plan, which include, amongst others, manufacturing revitalization, the aerotropolis master plan implementation, the acceleration of IDZ SCZ program, land availability for strategic development. The Aerotropolis Master Plan is a very important strategic document that will help us to promote freight and logistics next to the airport, given our strategic location into the OR Tambo International Airport. So we want to attract investors within those particular sectors in order to boost manufacturing in our space. Manufacturing constitutes about 20.5% of our sector. Therefore, it is very important not just for us as a city, but for the province and the country and the continent at large. So it's important that we make sure that all strategies are towards ensuring that we revitalize the manufacturing, because it's an engine for growth in the city of Ekurhuleni and the country.
Thank you very much for that. And I'd just like to now call upon and invite MMC for Water, Sanitation and Energy, Councillor Tiisetso Nketle, to officially welcome us and set the scene for the upcoming presentation and engagements. Welcome, MMC. Are you with us, MMC? Okay. Apologies to our viewers for that technical difficulty. You know how it is with these virtual platforms and the internet. I'd like to invite MMC for Water, Sanitation and Energy, Councillor Tiisetso Nketle again, to officially welcome us and to set the scene for the upcoming presentations that will be looking at security of supply, water quality, and just for her to just tell us what her department has been working on and what the vision is. Over to you, MMC.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank the facilitator of this webinar, business leaders, water sectors and experts that are present here. Leaders and experts that are present here, head of the Department of Water Sanitation and his team, the head of the City of Ekurhuleni, all heads of the City of Ekurhuleni departments present here, media and distinguished guests, good morning. Thank you for being with us today. We extend a warm welcome to you all on behalf of Department of Water and Sanitation in the City of Ekurhuleni. The City of Ekurhuleni is considered the primary driver of economic growth in this province as it is favorably located in the core economic activity and employment catchment area of Gauteng province. Spurred by decisive and radical spatial transformation, the city is geared to take the lead in Africa's new industrial revolution. City planners have come up with a bold plan to change the trajectory of development of Ekurhuleni, which historically had fragmented and reactive approach toward development and length of conduit for investment. A week ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the government will embark on massive rollout infrastructure projects across the country over the next 4 years. He was addressing a joint sitting of Parliament on government plan known as South Africa Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan to get country economy back into a job creating. Growth path growing the national lockdown to curb the spread of the coronavirus, which is known as COVID-19. This move towards investment in infrastructure echoes the city's view that the quality of infrastructure directly affects economic growth, potential, and the ability to an enterprise to engage effectively. For communities to thrive, there are basic essential services that must be in place to enable development to occur. Since the beginning of this term of office, the city of Ekurhuleni adopted an ambitious program to upgrade, replace, and reconstruct new water and sanitation infrastructure, such as replacement of water meters, the construction of reservoirs to create cities' water storage capacity to meet 36 hours of demand and eventually 48 hours. Network upgrade, repair, placement, valve to help reduce venue water, as well as water treatment plant upgrades. At least to inform you, as the business fraternity, that we are well on track with the implementation of these plans, and today's session will certainly give you a glimpse of the progress that has been made. As we recover from the scourge of COVID-19, we too believe that social economic development can be facilitated and accelerated by the presence of social and economic infrastructure. If this it's not me.
It's me. Oh, it's you.
Where was I now? Sorry for that. I will start as we recover from the scourge of COVID-19. We too believe that social economic development can be facilitated and accelerated by the presence of social and economic infrastructure. If these facilities and services are not in place, development will be very difficult. In fact, can be likened to a very scarce commodity that can only be secured at a very high price and cost. Economic infrastructure is the combination of basic facilities that are helpful in economic development of an economy and business. It has played a very positive role in the growth performance of countries in recent times, where development and economic infrastructure has followed a rationale, well-coordinated and harmonized path. Growth and development has received a big boost. Most South Africa's cities employ the private sector to design and construct public infrastructure, such as water supply and sanitation system. The city of Ekurhuleni has a strong consulting engineering fraternity and a large contracting industry. As we continue to invest in infrastructure, we will contribute towards the President's desire to reverse the declining of local manufacturing sector and promote reindustrialization. As the city of Ekurhuleni, our focus is, however, not solely on brick and mortar, but the contents of thereof are the equal importance. The city of Ekurhuleni prides itself on the superior quality of potable water, which undoubtedly adds value of your business as well. To maintain its blue drop status, the city samples, tests, and evaluates its drinking water at various points in terms of national legislation to maintain compliance to set standards. Ladies and gentlemen, you can always rest assured that your water is good enough to utilize in your production process as it complies with the microbiological, physical, aesthetic, operational, and chemical determinants set out in the South African National Standards for Drinking Water. Just as crucial as the water that come out of taps is the quality of effluent discharged by yourselves as waste. We currently have a register of 275 companies that are required to abide by industrial effluent water quality standard, and we are on drive to increase levels of compliance by ensuring that companies have a valid permit. The success of the business in city of Ekurhuleni is one of the cornerstones of our growth and development strategy 2055. The GDS set out 3 stages of transition to 2055 and identifies a range of imperatives that serve as a guide towards such transitional period. The transition to a delivering city is targeted for the period of 2016 to 2021, which coincides with the 5-year term for the current council. Thriving business and investment are part of Nketle upon which our success is based on. It is for that reason that we thought it is necessary to convene today's session. It is my pleasure to have you be part of this seminar and to discuss how best water sanitation can be enabler for business success and support development progress in the city of Ekurhuleni, to echo the sentiments of the Executive Mayor, Councillor Mzwandile Masina, on the sustainable economic growth. The city of Ekurhuleni is your #1 destination for investment. Water and sanitation, an enabler for business success. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Nketle, for that. Nketle, for that presentation and for just setting the scene for us. It's really exciting to see how the city of Ekurhuleni is positioning itself as the go-to city for investors. Businesses rely on the consistent delivery of services of a high quality, and water is crucial in the production process. And it is important that the city has the necessary infrastructure in place. So it is of interest then for us to understand how the city of Ekurhuleni has been working to address the problems of aging infrastructure and what steps it has taken or is taking to ensure the security of supply and to improve the city's capacity to deliver water. So now I want to call upon and invite City of Ekurhuleni, HOD for Water, Sanitation and Energy, Mr. Mduduzi Shabangu, to provide more insight on the security of supply and Aqualeap infrastructure projects in the city. I welcome you, Mr. Shabangu, onto the platform. Please go ahead and give us your presentation. Mr. Shabangu? Mr. Shabangu, are you there? We just are experiencing some technical difficulties. Please bear with us as Mr. Shabangu prepares him. It's fantastic. We're back on, and just apologies to you, our viewers, this afternoon. We have been experiencing some network difficulties. Maybe we should be having a discussion about ICT, maybe not about water and sanitation this afternoon. But I want to welcome again the HOD for Water, Sanitation and Energy, Mr. Mduduzi Shabangu, who's going to provide more insight on the security of supply and the Ekurhuleni projects, infrastructure projects in the city of Ekurhuleni. Welcome, Mr. Shabangu, and thank you so much. It's great to have you back on.
Okay, thank you very much, Mpumelelo. Thank you, the organizers of this webinar. I'm here with my MMC and the colleagues from the department. So I humbly apologize for what happens because we've got a network connection problem here. But I'll try my best to run through for the listeners to understand what we're doing as a water and sanitation in the city of Ekurhuleni. So I'll fly the presentation. I have 3 presentations, but I'll go through them quickly for everyone to understand what is this all about. So the first presentation, it has to do with the city of Ekurhuleni security of water supply. Here, I'm just showing the strategic fit in terms of where are we coming from as a water sanitation in the city of Ekurhuleni. We've been guided by the National Development Plan and also the province GDS Growth Development Strategy. And also as a city of Ekurhuleni, we've got our own GDS 2055, and that's where we compile in IDP and also the SDBIP for our performance purposes. And also we have a water service development plan, which put everything together. And then when we talk about the water service development plan, there are 5 pillars that we have to concentrate on. Mostly, we don't forget the socio-economic of the city of Ekurhuleni. And also, we look at the infrastructure as a whole and the technical matters. And also, after infrastructure, we know we have to cost the infrastructure by looking at the financial matters and also the organizational matters overall. And also, before we implement the project and all those things, we have to look at the environmental issues, because we cannot implement projects where you don't have WULA and environmental approvals. And as a city of Ekurhuleni, we talk about the 2055 growth development strategy, which will look at the re-urbanization, we look at the economic strategy, environmental strategy, and social strategy, and governance as a whole. So on those, we also dissected them, where when we talk about the re-industrial, what are we talking about? When we talk about the regenerate, what are we talking about, and all and so forth. And then now let me talk about the overall infrastructure status quo of the city. When we look at this thing, on the first, we look and we put all in the IDP and also the attribute on what is going to happen. And also we look at the challenges of the infrastructure and the current performance of the city. So if you look at the column number 2, the attribute, we talk about the infrastructure stability, the financial stability, employee leadership, governance, water resource adequate, and also the customer satisfaction. And also we line the challenges which are linked to the infrastructure stability. What are the challenges which we have to address as a city? And also when you go at the far right, we look at how we perform when it comes to these challenges. So I won't go through all the challenges as we fly them. We're just showing what we're doing as a city, as a comprehensive planning. And then also continuing, we look at the community sustainability, operational resilience, operational optimization, and stakeholder management, because we don't have to forget our stakeholders which are helping us. So also the challenges when it comes to community, that's why we talk about the EPWP, number of pollution inspectors, carbon emission. And then when we talk about the operational resilience, also we look at the safety plans of the city, and also going to the last column, we look at the current performance because we have to measure ourselves as a city of Ekurhuleni. And then this is the infrastructure backlog. After we've done all what I was talking about in the first slide, we have to cost, like I said, we look at the financial stability. So we said, no, if we want to eradicate this backlog in 0 to 2 years, how much will we need as a city of Ekurhuleni? By looking at the sewer upgrades, by looking at the refurbishment, by looking at the replacement, by looking at the unmetered properties and age meters. So for 0 to 2 years, we said, no, if we can get, maybe we can spread it in 5 years, or MTREF, if we can get 7.2 billion, we can be able to eradicate this within that specified time. But if we have to stretch it from 2 to 10 years, we said, no, we can do away with the 2.014 million for us to eradicate all this infrastructure. And then this is a very interesting slide, listeners, because if you look at the red, that's where we have shortages in terms of water supply in all these areas in the towns, you know. So what we're saying here, we said, no, in terms of, let's say we have an outage from maybe rainwater and all those things, these are the current hours that we can supply. And we can see we've got lots of res. That's why we embarked on the big project like building the reservoirs for us to be able to cater and also to overcome these shortages that we come across. And then these are the progress. This is the progress that we've already moved in terms of Aqualip. Aqualip is one of the program that we're running. We just came up with the name because Aqua represent water, and the leap is a jump. Like we said, we want to jump from where we are to until when we get to 2055, we want to see ourselves here. And then this is the progress that we've done on the water pipelines, upgrades, water pipes extension, pipes replacement, additional reservoirs, water pump stations, sewer upgrade, sewer extension, sewer replacement. So we said, no, if we profile them like this, we can be able to see the progress. This is the Aqualip, we're talking about infrastructure. And then here's one of the example of the reservoirs that we already started as near to completion. And then this is some of the reservoirs that we're doing in Brakpan. And then this one is this we're doing in Cllr reservoir, which is also bigger. 30 megaliters reservoir is not a small reservoir. I'm aware that rainwater, they're building 50 to 100, but we are getting there. And then this is one of the biggest tower that we are building in North Mid. It's 5.5 megaliters tower, and then it's elevated about 38 meters from the ground, which is the second biggest tower in the world, you know. So we'll have to be very, very careful when we build towers like this, and then that's why we need proper engineering. And also this is gonna show the view of the North and Benoni. We might even brand and give the name of this tower. And then major projects that we are doing, we've got Boxback, because Boxback, the infrastructure is very old. Jimmyton, the infrastructure is very old. So those are some of the towns that we have to react in the problems that we're having. Ekurhuleni, Randebelt, this is what we're doing also at the moment. And then these are some of the sewer that we constructing. If you look at Benora Park, I mean, listeners who knows Kempton Park, they know that Benora Park is part of the Kempton Park, and we're trying to address the challenges that we have in Kempton Park. And Bloban and Pomona also still in Kempton Park, and then the pump station and Serengate. So we also urge the business which are in those areas to be patient with us as we doing progress when it comes to this. So I think I'm done with my first presentation that talked to the overall infrastructure. I don't know if I'll have to go to the next presentation. Did I go to the next presentation? Or you didn't see the first one? Can you share for me? I'm trying to share this, the first one, the second one. This was the first presentation that I was doing. So I don't know if, must I flight it quickly to see also the pictures which I've put in the presentation? Okay, all right. Okay, I was saying this is one of the reservoirs that we're doing in Albertine. I won't go through the presentation. I was not aware that it's not showing. And then this is one of the reservoirs that we're constructing in Brakpan also. And then this is one of the biggest reservoirs in Cllr that also we constructing for us to be able to have enough storage in the city. And then this is the North Mid Tower, this which I was talking about, that is one of the biggest in the country, you know, and where we might even brand this because it's somewhere in Benoni. And then these are some of the major sewers that I was talking about. But overall, I'm done with my first presentation. For the sake of time, I'll have to go to the next presentation. My next presentation, can you put it on there? My next presentation has to talk about the water quality, also the revenue in the remove the old one, please. Okay, while they're still loading the presentation, what I was trying to say here, the next presentation, it has to talk about the revenue of the city and also the quality of water that we're supplying to the city, because we won't be doing justice to our listeners if we don't talk about the reliability of the quality of water that we supply in the city. So I'm not sure if you can see the presentation on the other side. Okay, so yeah, like I've mentioned, I'll go to the next slide on this presentation, which the key functions on this one, what mostly that we do has to do with the installation of water meter connections, repair and maintenance of water meters, replacement of age meters, because we have to replace meters after 15 years. And then also we have to do with the tariff setting, bulk purchase water from rainwater, and also issuing permits for waste discharge. We've realized that we've got too many industries here in the city of Ekurhuleni. So if we don't come up with a tariff of the industries that discharge to our sewer system and all those things, because they overload our wastewater treatment plant, so there is a tariff that is attached to that. And then also we have to issue the permits on those discharge and the water quality monitoring and compliance, and also without forgetting the bylaws. These are the legislative framework that we talk about. When we do this business, we have to look at the meter policy, illegal connection policy, credit control, water and wastewater bylaws, the tariff structure, and trade and metrology act, which we have to comply with this. And then what we're saying here, we said, no, when we talk about water quality, there are about 5 parameters which are very, very important. We have to make sure that these parameters, we comply when it comes to that. We talk about acute health parameter, which is very important. We talk about aesthetic taste, which is talk about taste odor parameter. And we talk about chronic health. We talk about biological health compliance, and we talk about the operational as a whole. So these parameters, if you don't get them right, which means the water quality is going to be compromised. And then these are some of the samples that we do. If you can look, there's a potable water samples, which we did about 360. And then also the environmental one where there's this, we do on the streams. I know most of the listeners, they are aware about Cllr, which goes down until to the city of Tshwane. So we also sample that stream in terms of the contamination and all those things. And then also in terms of industrial effluent, we do this industrial effluent to most of the industrial effluents, which we also measure how many. And then we've got a valid industrial effluent permits, which we get, which are about 210, a number of samples per month, and then on analysis. Also, we do penalties to those ones which are not complying. And we talk about here I'm just showing the figures that in terms of revenue generation, what are we getting from the non-compliance in terms of industrial effluent? We splitted the city in terms of the two, northeast and northwest. And then we also have challenges as a city. There are companies that take chances, operate without permit, and effluent which are not metered. There's an illegal discharge of effluent, discharge harmful material, which are very toxic into our system. And also the car washes and access for repair and maintenance team. Those are some of the challenges that we encounter on a daily basis. But here I just want to give an overview of the meters, because as a revenue generation, the city we have to count what goes through to our meters. And if you can check here, most of the meters are more on the residential. But today we're talking to the business, which the meters are about 22,000. you know, and we are aware that no, business are consuming a lot of water. So these 22,000 businesses are making lots of generation from revenue generation into the city. And then to go to these slides, there's a project that we've started as a city, because we've realized that most of the industries, you'll find that they've got more than 1 meter. So we said, no, let's consolidate, have 1 meter that supply to the industry, because we realized that some of the meters we can't read, they've been buried in the old, they are very old there. And to show this, what we come across on those meters that we cannot even read. And then we come up with this project for us to have 1 single meter that we can meter that industry. And these are some of the examples that we've put. And then we've put a progress today that about 12,000 properties were targeted, the properties have been investigated and so forth. And then these are top 100 consumers that we said, no, we don't have to miss these consumers because they generate our salaries in the city. So if we don't get these consumers right, we're not gonna get it right when it comes to revenue connection. And then we also embark on the quality management, because everything that we do, it has to follow the ISO 9001 2015 quality management. So we said, no, by doing all these things, we have to look at the quality management of the system and also the stakeholder services, because we're very strong when it comes to stakeholder before the COVID-19. But now, after the COVID-19, we have to do things in a different way. Like that's why today we've had to arrange the webinar for us to talk to our businesses. And also, these are some of the communication that we have in the city. We've got water interruption connections. We've got some of these communications, and we also have awareness that we do to the community for us to educate them about the conservation of water and protection of water. These are some of the pictures that we've put here to show our listeners. I think I'm done with this presentation. Thank you very much. Go to the next one. I'll go to the last presentation. This presentation talked to our businesses, because we said let's put this presentation, since as a city we cannot generate enough revenue for us to cater, more especially when it comes to wastewater treatment works. So we said no, the businesses which will be interested to partner with us, this is the opportunity for the businesses to partner with us in terms of the wastewater treatment works. We all aware that as a country, we have a challenge when it comes to wastewater. For example, also Ekurhuleni, like we have to save the vial. So we said it's very important for us to come up with these things. So bear with me, colleagues and the listeners. This is the final presentation of the day. And then what we said no, as the Erotropolis master plan is moving on the other side, also we have to move in terms of wastewater treatment works. So, and then we had to do about the used land and the human resources, and we invest in the capital innovation and entrepreneurship. So the strategy listed above are amongst with results to the growth development in the city, which requires sufficient capacity of the wastewater treatment works. But also this has to do with the GDS 2055, that when we reach 2055, we should have systems that are running. And then this is to show in terms of the challenges that we have. If you look at the reds, we don't have any design storage capacity in terms of wastewater. So developments where there's red, we facing challenges in such a way that no, we're even thinking of stopping the development until we get our wastewater treatment works running. So that's where most of the triple Ps will have to go into this red mostly. And then this one is the impact on the current and future development. What we're saying is that no, the demand of wastewater treatment services and the resources is increasing continuously with the city of Ekurhuleni due to the rapid growth of the population. And also our ERVAT is an entity that run our bulk wastewater in the endorsement of township development and mega catalytic project implementation. So also the unavailability of capacity on the various wastewater is a challenge, listeners. But we, as a city, we said, no, let's come up with the wastewater conveyance and treatment system regionalization, and we call it 50-year master plan that will talk to our GDS 2055. And then we undertook a comprehensive study that will give a strategic direction and also the future wastewater system, which will talk also to the future development that come to the city. And the study covered a wastewater treatment plants operated by Ekurhuleni and system operated by city of Ekurhuleni. So the intention of this study was to base on the current wastewater challenges that we have, and also we had to look at the IDP and special development plan framework. And the study commenced in 2018 with the city. This is to show the district in terms of drainage in the city. What are we talking about? And then these are some of the wastewater which we also did the costing. If you look at the last column, this is the costing that will also, if we get this money, we'll be able to react. And we can see this is a huge amount in such a way that as a city, we cannot even generate this amount. That's why we have to rely on the triple P's external partners. And then this one is just a summary of what I've highlighted. We said these are the wastewater, which if we can target these ones quickly, with this amount of 4.5 billion, we'll be able to show progress in the city of Ekurhuleni. And continuation, we said, no, these are some of the outfall sewers, because those wastewater should be connected by the outfall sewers. And if we can get this amount from triple P's, we'll be able to make a strive in the city. So in conclusion, we said the city of Ekurhuleni, associated with the wastewater treatment plants capacity upgrades and outfall sewer pipe, require capital investment, which I've already alluded in my in the previous slides. And the bulk contribution payable to the city is not sufficient. Like I said, we cannot collect. We don't have that capacity to collect enough. The budget that the collection that we make in the city cannot be even cater this type of infrastructure. And then we said, no, this model of regionalization also is to do away with this thing of having 19 wastewater treatment plants and cut them into 10 big wastewater treatment plants. And then we said the estimate can be 14.9 billion. I think, in short, I've tried to address the challenges that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, HOD.
Okay, I can hear.
All right. Thank you very much, HOD, for those three very enlightening presentations. You have covered the issue of stable water supply as being crucial. Then you've also spoken about the importance of the quality of the water that is being supplied. And you've obviously highlighted how the city prides itself in having maintained a high standard of quality of water. And you've also now mentioned as well the opportunities for business to partner with the city and also their responsibilities, especially of those who produce effluent, and in how it is that they comply with legislation, as well as ensuring that their permits are renewed and up to date. So I think just to begin us with the discussion, we will just pose some questions on what you presented to us, and then we'll also take some questions from the viewers as I've seen them roll in. But just to begin with, I mean, you've spoken about the Aqualeap program, and you've alluded to the concept of security of supply. Now, how do these two merge, and what do they mean for your consumers, and in particular for business?
Okay, well, thank you very much for that question. Yeah, we talk to this interchangeable, but when you talk about the security of supply, we talk about the provision of reliable supply to the city, which the water is safe and available for the socio-economic and industrial use. And the delivery mechanism of those objectives is a necessary delivery infrastructure that we have in the city. And also, when we talk about Aqualeap, like I've said, are we talking about the infrastructure response on the strategy that seeks to upgrade and replace the infrastructure, hence to security of water? So we're talking about the connectivities, the reservoirs, everything that we do. That's why we call them Aqualeap. But the main thing is to provide quality water to our residents. Thank you very much.
All right. Just I think there's a question from the live chat that seems to be connected to some of this. And I just want to pose a question from Abel Mtombeni, who asks, does the city have a dedicated team that installs or connects water for businesses? And is this process fast-tracked?
Thank you very much for that question. That's why here I'm sitting with my divisional heads. We have a division that we call operation. So operation is to deal with the day-to-day operation of the city. That's why we also have the stores where we have pipes and valves and so forth. So if there's for instance, there's a development that has been commissioned, our team can be able to go there and help the development to connect. Also the businesses, we make sure that the businesses are the first priority in the city because they help us in terms of revenue collection.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, HOD. Now, in terms of the stable water supply, this is, of course, very crucial for businesses. Now, from time to time, obviously, there are water supply interruptions. Now, are you aware of the impact that this has on business operations, especially in the phase of economic recovery? Of course, with the COVID-19 and the challenges we're having in our economy as a nation, such interruptions would have, a degree of an adverse effect on businesses and their operations. What have you heard from your clients or the stakeholders about this issue?
Thank you for that question. We have to also take into consideration that we running a very old infrastructure, which that's why we came with the Ekurhuleni for us to upgrade this infrastructure. And also, other than that, we know that the water supply outages and some are not, you can't even avoid, because of the pressure that we're getting from the water service provider from rainwater. So as a city, we inspire to mitigate the effect of such interruption by attending all the complaints within we've got the standard delivery time, which we said, if it's a pipe burst within 48 hours, we'll be able to respond, and also for this not to pose the problem into the industry. So the team also, we make sure, especially from the operational side, the team make sure that they work 24 hours to make sure that the water is restored within that specified time. Also, we've got the situation where we have to do a minor upgrades, where we have to do a major shutdown for us to improve the efficiency of the system. So also notify our industries and our customers that we are going to do this major repair and all those things. They have to bear with us within that specified time. Thank you.
Yes, I think that's a very important point, HOD, that communication is actually quite key so that it helps businesses to plan. There's a question here from Tabiso Aiskena, and he asks why the city of Ekurhuleni is not using SME to fix all leaking water pipes in our townships, so small, medium enterprises. And he's wondering whether the city still has a database that is still active.
Thank you for that question. When we talk about water pipes, we're talking about the pressure, which is about 20 bar, in such a way that we must have a dedicated team who understand how to fix the major pipes. But the issue of SMME, we incorporate them, especially when there's a construction of reservoirs, construction of pipes and all those things. That's why we have to go to the local first and source most of the small companies in the local communities who can be subcontracted. That's why we talk about the issue of 30%, that 30% should come from all those things. But the major best pipes and all those things, we don't want to risk the life of the unexperienced SMME to go on the ground and fix that. So as I can mention also, we're getting high pressure from rainwater. I don't know if they've experienced most of these burst pipe. When the pipe bursts, you find that the water will shoot about 200 meters above. So we don't want to expose the community on those dangerous situations. Thank you very much.
Just on that point, HOD, is there a program in place to perhaps empower or train, inform or advise SMMEs if they're trying to get more skills in terms of this area of water and sanitation?
Yes, I can say that because also my fellow HOD from economic development, I hope is connected. We had programs that are running here in the city, and there were programs like Lungele Mchali, which were running the city. There were programs like what other programs we have? You know, so those programs, we have a database of most of these contractors that we source from that database, and also from real estate. There was a tender also that is going to come, which will accommodate contractors from grade 1 until to grade 5, because we said we want to provide that to the people who don't even have experience, the companies that don't have experience on the field, you know, to be able to come to the system and also fix the minor leaks or in the buildings and so forth. So we just watch the space. That also tender is coming, it's been approved by the city. Thank you.
All right. Still on that topic of a stable water supply, how have you prioritized areas for development of new infrastructure? I mean, have you prioritized certain industrial areas, for example?
Thank you very much. You know, we responding to mostly to our special development plan, like I've mentioned in my first presentation, that our planning, we look at the National Development Plan, Special Development Plan, and also GDS 2055, and also the province one. And also we profile in terms of the development in the city. So that's why we know which developments are coming to the city and all those things. So which is the bedrock of the planning templates of the city. So the special development plan also anticipates and outlines the development trends which are going to happen to the city. So therefore, any development cannot come as a surprise, but rather outcome and deliberate of well-planned process. So to this end, the Water and Sanitation Department reviewed the engineering plans actually in line of those development plans. But we have to understand that also most of the industries are already on the ground. So the main thing is to make sure that they get a reliable supply. Thank you very much.
All right, and now let's zoom back into the Aerotropolis. Kempton Park is the home of OR Tambo International Airport, and it has experienced some recurrent water supply interruptions over the past few months. Is it one of the areas that is receiving attention in terms of the infrastructure upgrades?
Yes, we investing a lot in Kempton Park. Like I've also mentioned in my previous presentation, I spoke about the Pomona Sewer and all those things. So when it comes to Kempton Park now, we've budgeted about 250 million worth of investment for the next 3 years for us to deal with these challenges. And also, if you can go to Kempton Park, there are reservoirs which we're trying to construct there. There's a Kempton Park reservoir and the tower. And also, this construction is 173 million. And then we have a Bradell reservoir, which respond. I don't know if you know about the new hotel that we have that side, Regison Hotel. That's area cost Bradell. And then we have the reservoir that we're constructing there, which is about 68 million. And also, we have pipelines which they have to interconnect all these reservoirs, which are worth about 43 million. So overall, this come to 284 million, which we're investing to Kempton Park only. Thank you very much.
That is quite a significant investment. Chris Heymans is asking about the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. And he says, how has COVID affected the water business for the city? Have there been notable challenges to service delivery and any innovations, technically, financially, and service delivery-wise, that the city thinks would strengthen its work in future and that others may learn from?
Thank you. Yeah, some of the innovation are what we're doing today, because we cannot reach our businesses and talk to them. So we said, no, it's better to come up with the webinar innovation. But also, the COVID, like the major infrastructure that the city is trying to roll out, it was affected by COVID because we have to close the sites, and coming back after the lockdown, we have to come back at the reduced number of people who has to react into this construction. So those are some of the challenges that we had. So our program was disturbed. And then when it comes to operationally, we had to lay off people who are above 60 years, not due to the nature of the requirements of the COVID, that no, we cannot expose them. And so we're also running with the short staff in terms of reacting into the outages of water supply. But other than that, we tried as a city to make sure that we reach everyone and we respond to all the challenges that we have on the ground. So in terms of revenue, most of the industries and businesses where we make lots of money on them in terms of revenue collection, they were closed. So as a city, we didn't collect revenue as it was anticipated because we project our revenue for the entire financial year. So that one also affected us in such a way that some of the projects had to be compromised because our anticipated revenue was not collected. Thank you very much.
All right. Now, on average, what is the lifespan of the city's water supply and sewer network? And what approach are you adopting to tackle this challenge?
Yes, thank you. The infrastructure lifespan is 30 years, can go to 50 years. But if you look at the profile of the towns here in the city, I mean, I think the oldest one was built in 1862, which is very old. So our infrastructure, like I said, we're running an infrastructure that is in ICU. So we have to carefully make sure that we take care of this infrastructure, the approach. So the reality, however, is that many of city networks are very old, over than 30 years, and the settlements like Jamestown, which was the first town, Albertine, and Kempton Park, the infrastructure, that's why we're expressing more, special Captain, we're expressing most of the best pipe there. So the approach of water and sanitation and the city as a whole has been to come up with a multi-criteria replacement strategy. Other than that, we still have a challenge with the asbestos in some areas where we had to make sure that we eradicate most of the asbestos pipes, for us to cap the water losses in terms of the infrastructure. So, and also the pipe burst that we encountering on the daily basis. So that's what is happening in the city, but we're trying our best to make sure that in the near future, like I said, we've got about 20 to 55 horizon for us to make sure that we eradicate all the challenges that we have in the city. Thank you.
All right. Now, HOD, you have spoken about how you will need public and private sector to work together, right, in the triple Ps to fund and upgrade the required infrastructure. Are you currently open to investors approaching you? And what kind of partnerships do you envision to take forward as a city?
Yeah, we are aware that triple P is a very long, tedious process. To go for triple P, there's a certain national treasure which we must have to get approvals and all those things. But like I said in my last presentation on the wastewater treatment work, we said the city always looking forward to partner with the triple P because we don't have any other choice. So to this and the Water and Sanitation Department, there's a number of projects, like I've mentioned, that in terms of Aqualip, we have to profile so many projects from the feasibility, which are ready for the partnership and also are ready for the triple Ps. So what we're saying, also some of the projects, we find that they will have a payback period of 5 years. For example, when you talk about water reclamation, it can yield results very quickly. the sludge can yield results. So we're looking at those, if they are interested partners, which they can come and partner with the city. And also, it's very interesting because, like I said, we already have a feasibility study. So for them is to take forward our feasibility study and implement. Thank you very much.
All right, and just a quick one. Again, just to round off the discussion on the security of supply and Aqualeap projects, business is willing to explore and invest in ways to utilize recycled water, wastewater. So tell us more about the wastewater reclamation study and how committed the city is to eventually implementing this idea.
Yeah, thank you. In order to determine the viability of wastewater reclamation in the city of Ekurhuleni, the pre-feasibility study was commissioned, which we're in the partnership with the DPSA when we do that pre-feasibility study. So the objective of that feasibility study was to identify the quantity and the quality of what we produce from our wastewater treatment plant in terms of the effluent availability for reclamation. So what we're saying, the potential users of the reclaimed wastewater treatment, reticulation, and so forth, we will welcome any if there are experts outside there which they want to leverage on this. So this study was concluded, and the future recommendation for the implementation of the wastewater through triple P's mechanism due to the large capital requirements we then. But what we're saying is that no, in terms of water scarcity is a reality in the whole world, you know. And if we don't embark into water reclamation and acid mine drainage and the boreholes and all those things, for us to save value, this is going to be a problem. So that's what we're trying to say. So no, also by reducing these 19 wastewater treatment plants to 10, and some are very potential for reclamation and to work with also the return flows that goes back to the streams. Thank you.
All right, Ejide, before we transition to questions on your other presentations, I just want to read some comments from the live chat here. Some may be questions, some are just comments. And it just gives you a sense of what the audience is thinking as we are having this conversation. Andres Boerta says, I'm confused. The city wants industry to invest, but the sewer system can't handle it. So you want to penalize industry who invest. Is this not a counterproductive stance? And then there is Pat M. Shao, who says the new capital infrastructure, especially for the water reservoirs, is fast becoming beacons for the city. It will be appreciated if the city can equally turn around times for the maintenance of the infrastructure. And then Clement Mohongwa says sustainability versus security of infrastructure. There is a challenge around the looting by criminals of the infrastructure. What measures are there to protect it? I think that's a very important issue in terms of, we've seen it even with the, electricity and the cables. Andrew Knox says, if the city can't recover enough service charges from residents to cover the cost of services, what makes the city think that a private company involvement will be able to turn this around? And then Andy says, does the city have a certain company for purifying water, for example, a specific powder or tablets for pit toilets, for instance? And then Nketle says, our HOD mentioned the 30% for local businesses and also empowerment for small business in the communities from the projects, but this is not happening. Small local businesses are not benefiting from the project. And then I think I'll just read the last two. COVID-19 response innovation. The city has been rolling out foot-operated hand washing units in partnership with Business for South Africa. and the National Business Initiative Informal Settlements and Areas of Need. And this is from Mapipo Twala. Mahlasi Shingange says, the city must come up with strategy to collect revenue and involve SARS to assist. There shall be legal connection of water and electricity is what makes the city to lose a lot because suburbs areas can't be only focus of collection, while in the townships and squatter camp, they don't pay and is where a lot of the people are. But we are all using sanitation services. So I think these is just overall what the questions are and the comments around the issue of security of supply. Now I'm going to rush because of time, HOD, and just let's zoom in a little bit now on the issue of water quality and industrial effluent management. How seriously should businesses take the matter of obtaining permission to discharge industrial effluents? What are the ramifications for those who choose to ignore this requirement? And could you please outline the process of obtaining a permit and explain more explicitly which types of businesses are required to do so?
Okay, thank you very much. MMC, you want to chip in on this? Yeah. All right, no, I'll try to answer. I wanted to give MMC also the platform to respond on this.
All right, she's more than welcome. I see that she's on now. If she wants to come on, MMC, please, MMC Nketle, please feel free to also respond to the question if you are
okay
in a position to.
Oh, it's fine. Okay, you can. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me give also our MMC a chance to talk to some of these, but we recorded all the comments from the listeners, and then we will improve from that. MMC. Oh. Okay. Let me.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you to the viewers. I think I have noted the question which said that we should outline the process of obtaining permit and explain more explicitly which types of businesses are required to do so. All businesses that produce industrial effluent are required to have permit to discharge their effluent into municipality system. A business that produces industrial effluent in its operations is required to apply for permit in line with the bylaws. The application can be done at the water and sanitation depots through the city. The business is expected to complete the application form and submit it with its supporting documents. The applications are the access based on information supplied and the composition of the proposed industrial effluent to be discharged. Other businesses such as restaurants, car washes, scrap yards, etc., are required to have grease traps which are also registered on our monitoring program. In terms of the bulk meter consolidation project, the project is focusing on the reduction of non-revenue water by ensuring that all unmetered connections are metered accurately. In the past, properties used to have a multiple connection which were metered or unmetered, e.g. fire hydrants, which over the years, some of these connections are either buried underground or unmetered. The project seeks to correct and address that while reducing non-revenue water within the city. The meters which the city are accurate. There are programs to address the aged meters and ensuring that correct billing takes place all the time. I think these were the two questions which were asked by the moderator.
All right, thank you so much, MMC. Just of course to follow on the issue of the metering, have you considered smart metering to alleviate the need for physical meter reading? And if so, can you provide us with more details of that? Of course, I saw in the HOD's presentation pictures of some of the meters are not even clear to read. Some are already buried underground. It's very difficult. And the HOD spoke about the consolidation of the meters. But what about smart metering?
Look, the city is considering the use of smart water meters. Feasibility studies have been completed in this regard, and different options and recommendations are under consideration as part of the city's objective to be a smart city. There is already an element of smart meters being used in other departments, such as the city's Department of Energy.
All right, okay. And then last week, the executive mayor of the city hosted a webinar focusing on revenue enhancement. How has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your business as the Water and Sanitation Department? I think this is following on to the question that HOD dealt with earlier, but I think maybe you may want to shed some more light on that, MMC.
The COVID-19 has affected the Water and Sanitation Department in a negative way. The collection rates have dropped significantly as a result, which affect the revenue. Business and residents are encouraged to continue paying for their services to enable the city to continue rendering basic services, because we can't stop rendering basic services to our residents.
All right. Thank you so much, HOD, Shabang and MMC Nketle, for your candid participation this afternoon. Of course, I had mentioned that we had other stakeholders who were supposed to participate in the discussion, but due to the technical glitches that we experienced, we decided to just keep this conversation just between us. And I think we've gained so much insight. You've shared so much insight, and we know a lot more. And it's quite encouraging to see that in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic and economic hardship, the city of Ekurhuleni is demonstrating a commitment to providing consistent and quality services for residents and for business. And this should encourage, I think, businesses to consider the city as a viable destination for investment. Yes, there are challenges, and you've highlighted those challenges, but I think you have presented to us a city that is willing to engage, a city that is willing to speak to investors and hear what the ideas are that they're able to put on the table. So the city is also well positioned as a link to the rest of the world and the continent through the OR Tambo International Airport and the major national roads that run through the city, like the N3. So we hope that this momentum can be sustained by closer working relationships between the stakeholders and a commitment by the leadership to epitomize the values of ethical leadership and principles of good governance. And I think some of the comments that have come through from the viewers do sort of echo that desire. And in the interest of time, I just want to give you, HOD, and then the MMC to just give final thoughts as we wrap this up. Let's start with the HOD, and then we'll end off with the MMC.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Nompumelelo. We've learned a lot out of this webinar, and also we've took all the questions that were posed on this webinar, and we said, no, for us to improve, we will have to look at those. This is not a targeted industrial. We still gonna do another consultative with the community, but this one was only for the businesses, for us to talk with the businesses and their challenges on the ground. Like we're saying, the city is growing and the infrastructure is very old. So we need partnership from external businesses for us to be able to build this city into a livable city. I think from 2012 to 2020, we said we want a city that is going to be responding to some of the things. And then from 2020 to 2030, we said, no, we need a city that is going to be sustainable. And also until 2055, we need a city that is going to be smart. So we're going towards smart for us to be able to respond to some of these challenges remotely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, MMC.
Thank you very much. Let me also thank the organizers of this webinar, and to thank our stakeholders who have joined to come and listen, and also to give us what they are thinking about this important water, which is its life. We want to give an assurance to our investors that they are in the place to be looked at properly, and we are also calling on other investors to come to this city, because this is the city which it's very, I want to say that even our executive mayor is the person who has cities people in his hearts. The reason why we are building so many reservoirs is because we have realized that the water, it has become a scarcity component. And we said we need to have reservoirs where we will store water for the residents. Come time when even rainwater may be going through difficulties, we will be able to say to the city to open up those reservoirs where we would have stored water for our residents. I also want to thank the team in this department for the hard work and the good work that they are doing. I thank you very much, our moderator. We really appreciate the work you are doing with us today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to the City of Ekurhuleni and the Business Day for bringing us this webinar today. The City of Ekurhuleni, Water and Sanitation Services, an enabler for business success. I am Nompumelelo Lorunji, and I was very happy to be your host this afternoon. Have yourself a fantastic day, and we hope that this conversation will keep going on between all stakeholders and the City of Ekurhuleni. Thank you so much to all of you, our viewers. Please do pay attention to the chat where other information about presentations and about links will be put up by admin. And have a wonderful afternoon further. Thank you.